Hello everyone and welcome to the Arbor Farm. Thank you for joining us for today's episode where I want to share with you how to grow flowers from seed indoors. Let's get started. Many people nowadays love to grow flowers, and growing flowers from seed indoors is one that we're passionate about. We live in Zone 6 in southern Michigan, where we get cold winters, and we are not able to get things started outside until after our last frost in mid-May. And so growing flowers from seed indoors is something that we love to do. I have started thousands of flowers here under these grow lights and on these shelves behind me. And we are in mid-April, and so far this season we have started over 20,000 flowers and flower seeds in our house in a spare bedroom. So I want to show you how we do that and take you step by step and help you get started with your flower seed growing indoors. And I want to just say here before I get going, as is true with most anything, there's always more than one way to accomplish the same goal. This is just what we do, and so you feel free to modify these instructions and work them to the best of your ability and for your outcome in your situation. So what do you need to get started? Here are some supplies that we use. We use plug trays. This particular one is 128 plug tray, and we like it because it's nice and sturdy. It doesn't crunch, when you press on it. I'll put the link to the description below for the supplies that we use, so you can compare and find the best pricing for your needs. And then we use these foil pans as well. You can see them on the shelf behind me. We just get these at most any store, Walmart, dollar stores, any place. And we like to get the 2-pack. We feel like we're getting the most bang for our buck there. We get the ones without the lids because they are more cost effective. And then I'll show you what we do as far as creating humidity for them. Another thing we like to do is use soil blocking. We use the 1/2-inch soil blocker. You can see that in this small space I can create 20 seedlings. So we actually prefer this over the plug trays just to save space, but that is what we do. But we use both, so both are an option. And then you'll need a soil blocking recipe, or you can use potting soil if you're using the plug trays. So I'll also drop a link in the description below for our soil blocking video and include the recipe there so that you can see what we use to grow our many flowering plants from seed indoors. So even though I already mentioned our preference for soil blocks compared to plug trays, because I can fit 160 seedlings in one of these pans compared to 128 in one of these pans. So this takes up a whole lot more space, and if I'm starting thousands of plants, my preference is this, but yours might be this. Maybe you have the space, an empty basement, or so forth, and so a plug tray is fine for you, or maybe you're growing a smaller quantity and a plug tray is fine for you. It's just a matter of preference and a matter of space for us. And then the final thing you'll need is seeds. So when should you start your seeds? When should you start growing your plants indoors, and that is a matter of where you live. So if you live in a southern region, zones 9, 10, maybe even 8, you're going to be different than us in zone 6 because you have warmer weather longer in the season and sooner in the season. So it's going to depend on your last frost date, as well as number 2, the kind of seed that you're starting. So if you are starting a cool season plant, that means one that is winter hardy in your zone, you can actually start those seeds in the fall and plant them out and then let them overwinter. Our little buddy was barking at the mail truck, so she just wanted to say hello. And the same is true if you're planting warm season flowers. For example, we like to plant a lot of sunflowers, and we need to wait until after our last frost date to put those outside. And so knowing your last frost date is important. For us, it's the middle of May, about May 15th, usually around Mother's Day. Meantime, we can start a lot of stuff inside while we're waiting for the weather to get just right. As you can see here, we are not to May 15th yet for us. We are nearing the end of April, and so we are still starting a lot of things. Not too far in advance because you don't want them to get long and leggy and you don't want to lose them that way. But 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 weeks in advance of when you need to plant them outside. There are usually guidelines on the back of your package that tell you when to start your seeds and what conditions they like in order to germinate and to grow on. So how do we start seeds? That's the main thing that we came for. And so I always defer to the back of the seed package. And if you bought a seed package that does not have instructions on the back, we like to go to the Johnny's website, Johnny's Selected Seeds, and look up the particular item. So no, Johnny's is not paying me to do this or to say this. It's just that this is our preferred method and our preferred source for seeds. But you can go to the Johnny's website and look up the instructions for particular flower that you are wanting to grow if your seed packet does not include that. Before I got started in flower farming, I used to think that you could just put every seed in the ground in the spring, cover it with dirt, and voila, you would have flowers. And that's just not true. Each seed prefers a different growing method. And if you provide that environment to that seed, then you will have success. And so that is the best way to go about it. Look up each seed type and then give that seed its germination preferred environment, and you will have success. And did you know that some seeds prefer light to germinate? Some seeds prefer complete darkness to germinate. Some prefer warm soil, and some prefer very cool soil. So know what your seed, each one that you're planting, prefers, and then you'll have the best success. So growing seeds from start to finish, growing flowers rather from start to finish from seed indoors is possible. However, the best environment is to transplant those seedlings outside when the time is right, and you'll notice that they just practically explode. And when they have the sun, they have the nutrients from the rain and the warmth that they enjoy, or the cool weather that they enjoy, they will just thrive like nothing else that you can provide to them inside. So our goal is to transplant our seedlings outside when the weather is right. And we've started doing that with our cool season seeds, and we will do that when the time is right for our warm season seeds. So how do we start our seeds indoors? We like to use soil blocks, and I chose this pan of Status here because the plants are relatively short, and you can see that there are individual blocks of soil that I made with our soil blocker, and I planted a seed on each of those blocks. Now, Status is one that germinates very quickly. I plant it today, it will be germinated tomorrow if I provide the right conditions for it. And the thing that we like to do is just once we have all of our seeds planted, we like to, instead of buying individual humidity domes, you know that seeds like moisture to germinate. And so we just cover them with plastic wrap or saran wrap and then tape down the edges so that it's nice and tight and give them a good environment. If they prefer light, we put them under our shop lights that are 5,000 lumens or more. And if they like heat, we put them on our heat mats. Again, I'll include links for both of those items in the description below if you'd like to see what we use. But there are lots of options out there that work just fine. So ideally, when our seedlings get big enough, I'm going to switch pans here so you can see this one a little bit better. These are dianthus. Actually, the common name for these are carnations, and so we're growing some carnations for our bouquets this summer. And the nice thing about soil blocking is that you can pull these individual blocks out and have the roots intact and the seedling ready to go. So it helps avoid transplant shock to your plants. And the same would be true for the plug trays. If you choose to use plug trays, that would be just fine as well. So once you have your seeds planted, cover with saran wrap or plastic wrap or humidity dome. Give them the light that they need or the darkness they prefer, and either heat or cool. The next step is to keep them watered. We water our seedlings about every day. We certainly check on them every day to see if they need water. Once they get growing, they dry out quickly. Now, the ones that are still covered with a humidity dome don't need to be watered. But once we remove that humidity dome, after 50% of the seedlings start to germinate, we remove the humidity and we keep them watered as they grow on. About every day we water them unless they are saturated and don't need it. And once a week we give them a fish emulsion fertilizer to help them grow. It's a fertilizer that doesn't burn your seedlings. And so also show you in the description below which one we use, and then you can choose the one that you desire. I wanted just to flip my camera around here and give you a view of our grow room setup. This is the shelf that we start all of our plants on. And so you can see here that this particular plant, this tray of plants, is covered with saran wrap. And so we have it under our shop lights, or they're working as grow lights, and they are very close in proximity, about 4 inches from the actual tray. This tray is covered with foil because this type of plant prefers darkness, but it wants the heat mat, so we have it here covered with foil so that it won't get the light. And then once they have germinated, we wait for at least half of the pan to germinate. And then we remove the saran wrap and we move it to one of our other shelves. So over here we have one of our other shelves where we keep our plants to grow on. And so you can see that the seedlings are growing here. It has no saran wrap. It's in close proximity to the grow light, or we're just using shop lights, more cost effective. And then we check them every day and water them most every day as needed. So you might be wondering, when can I move my seedlings outside if I want to, not grow them all the way through indoors, but I want to transplant them out? And that varies, again, depending on the time of plant and your weather. So the type of plant. We have cool flowers that we've already moved outside. The frost doesn't necessarily matter to those. We cover them with agricultural frost cloth. When we see that the temperatures are getting down to 25 at night, or below freezing if I'm a little bit nervous about that. So we keep them covered with our frost cloth. We generally don't move our warm season flowers outside until after our last frost date. So know your last frost date, and that's different depending on where you live. And just enjoy growing flowers, enjoy starting seedlings inside, maybe growing them all the way inside if you're more adventurous. But we are just busting at the seams. This room is just full of plants. Our screen porch, or our 3-season room where they're protected, is just busting with plants at this time of the year, getting ready to move them all outside. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. Our goal is to always create content that's helpful for you. And if you found today's content helpful, we'd like to ask you to click the like button and subscribe to our channel so that you can receive notifications as to when the next content is available. And as always, if you have questions or comments, please drop those below, and we would be happy to engage with you. We read every single one. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.